They sold you for 5 bolts of silk, cheaper than a horse. In the Tang Dynasty, you're a slave girl, your life worth less than livestock, waking each day to serve a master who owns your every breath. Picture yourself scrubbing floors at dawn, your hands raw, your dreams buried. Yet, in this harsh world, you find flickers of hope in a shared laugh or a stolen song. How would you survive when your existence isn't even your own? Your story starts with a twist of fate, and it's not a happy one. You were born into slavery, thanks to the Tang Dynasty's brutal rule. If your parents were slaves, you're stuck in the same trap. No choice, no escape, just a life of servitude from the moment you took your first breath. Imagine being a kid, already owned. Your future decided before you could even talk. It's a harsh reality, but that's the hand you're dealt. Or maybe you weren't born into this. Picture this. Your family hits rock bottom during a famine, belly's empty, and desperation takes over. They sell you, their little girl, to survive, a heartbreaking choice that was all too common. You're torn from home, maybe from the southern Yue tribes in what's now Guangdong, known for their striking beauty. Poet Yuan Zhen even wrote about girls like you in his poem Gu Kei Lei, turning your looks into a selling point. It's not flattery, it's a grim reminder you're a commodity. Then there's the chance you came from far away, dragged along the Silk Road from Central or Western Asia. Your exotic features make you a prize in the markets of Chang'an, fetching a higher price for your master. The Tang laws didn't care where you came from. Criminals, orphans, foreigners, even free people could end up enslaved if they fell on hard times. You could have been sold by your own kin or captured in a raid. Either way, you're here now, just another piece of property. Your legal status? It's as bad as it sounds. You're no different from a cow or a cart in the eyes of the law, with barely any rights. Historical contracts paint a stark picture. A 15-year-old girl sold for 6 bolts of silk and 5 coins, found in Turfan's Astana cemetery. Another, a 28-year-old named Jiansheng, went for 5 bolts of silk in 991, with a clause to swap her out if someone claimed her back. If your master kills you, he might face a measly year in prison, and even that depends on the emperor's mood. Here's the kicker. Your beauty could make things worse. Poets like Yuan Zhen didn't just admire Yue girls, they turned you into a fantasy, a product to be bought and sold. You're not just a worker, you're a status symbol, a pretty face to show off. It's a sick twist that your looks could seal your fate, making you more valuable, but no less trapped. Welcome to your life, where even your worth is measured in silk. Your day kicks off at the 5th watch, around 3 to 5 a.m., when the world's still dark and you're already up. You stumble out of your straw mat, light the fires, and start prepping breakfast for the household. It's rice or millet gruel, maybe with some cabbage tossed in, and you'd better make it smell good or you'll hear about it. Sweeping the courtyard comes next, dust swirling as you scrub pots and wrestle with laundry in a creaky wooden basin. Your hands are already rough and the sun's barely peeked out. It's a grind, but you've got no choice. If you're in a fancy household, things get fancier but not easier. You might be steaming buns or pickling vegetables for the master's guests, trying not to drool over the food you'll never taste. Then there's the silkworm gig, a real joy killer, where you're picking mulberry leaves and feeding those wriggly critters day and night. Got a knack for sewing? You're mending clothes or stitching intricate patterns. Your fingers pricked raw. And don't forget serving the family pouring tea, fanning them in the summer heat, or adjusting their robes just so. You're basically a human Swiss Army knife. Some days you get to shine, if you're lucky. If you can play the pipa or sing, you might perform for guests, your heart swelling with pride for a fleeting moment. You also look after the master's kids, dressing them, feeding them, and chasing them when they're up to no good. But mess up like burning the rice and you're in for a scolding, or worse, a quick slap. As an unmarried slave or binu, you're on call 24/7, no pay, no breaks, just endless tasks. Shocking fact. You're basically a machine, expected to keep going without a single complaint. You're not alone in this, though. You work with other slaves, sharing the load and sometimes sneaking a laugh when the mistress isn't looking. But it's not all teamwork. There's a quiet competition to stay in her good graces. If you're in a Buddhist monastery, you might be out in the fields, hauling crops under the sun. In a merchant's house, you're lugging goods or scrubbing the shop. Shocking fact. During busy seasons, you're clocking 18-hour days, collapsing onto your mat so tired you can barely think. Your back aches, your hands are calloused, but you keep moving, anticipating every need, like having hot tea ready before they even ask. Your home is a cramped mud brick hut, shared with other unmarried slave girls or UK Jai. It's so tiny there's barely room for your thin straw mat and a couple of trinkets. Privacy? Forget it, every snore, whisper, or sigh is public knowledge among your hutmates. The place reeks of sweat and smoke, with no windows to let in fresh air. When it rains, the roof leaks, and you're left huddling in a dry corner, praying your mat doesn't get soaked. It's less a home and more a place to collapse after a long day. Food is a whole other struggle. Your meals are basic, a bowl of rice or millet gruel. Maybe with some cabbage or radishes if you're lucky. Meat? That's a rare treat, usually just scraps or leftovers from the family's table, and you eat only after they're done. You sip boiled water or weak tea, shared from a single pot with the other slaves. Portions are small, so you're always hungry, your stomach grumbling as you work. Shocking fact. You're expected to keep the family's home spotless, but your own hunger and exhaustion are completely ignored. Your wardrobe isn't winning any fashion awards. You've got 1 or 2 sets of coarse hemp or cotton clothes, often hand-me-downs from your mistress. You wash one set while wearing the other, and in winter, you're shivering in those thin rags with no extra blanket to keep warm. Bathing is a once-a-week luxury, if that, sharing a basin of water with the others. Your hair's tied back with a simple cloth. Strip fancy styles are for free women, not you. Shocking fact. You're surrounded by silk robes and fine foods in a wealthy household, but they're as out of reach as the stars. Your belongings are few and precious. A comb, a needle, maybe a small trinket, all stuffed in a cloth sack. You sleep on that straw mat, sometimes with just a flimsy blanket, even when the cold bites. The hut's stuffy, smoky air clings to you, and there's no escaping it. If you're really lucky, you might score a piece of fruit from the marchetta rare treat that feels like a holiday. But most days, you're tired, cold, and hungry, yet somehow expected to work like you're bursting with energy. It's a tough life, but you make do with what little you have. Your mistress is the sun your world revolves around, and let's just say she's unpredictable. One day, she's teaching you how to embroider. The next, she's snapping at you for a crooked stitch. You've become a master at reading her moods, knowing when to flash a smile or keep your head down. Her word is law, and you're always on edge, hoping to stay on her good side. It's exhausting, but you learn to navigate her whims like a pro. You just wish she'd see you as more than a tool. The other slaves? They're your lifeline, your real family. In stolen moments, you swap stories, giggle over silly things, or wipe each other's tears. You cover for a friend too tired to finish her chores, and she's got your back when you're dragging. You whisper about the master's latest tantrum or the mistress's new demands, bonding over the chaos. Together, you've got a secret language, quick glances, or coded words to warn of trouble. It's these connections that keep you going, like a warm spark in a cold world. The master, though, is a whole different story. He's a looming shadow, his attention either a threat of punishment or something worse, like unwanted advances. You avoid eye contact with him and his friends, knowing a wrong look could spell trouble. If you're a Kunlun slave from Africa or Southeast Asia, you're treated like an exotic curiosity, sometimes paraded for guests like a trophy. Shocking fact. Some households flaunt Kunlun slaves as status symbols, showing you off to impress visitors. You're confined to the household, rarely seeing outsiders, and you dream of someone, anyone, seeing you as a person, not property. Your social circle is tiny, and kindness is rare. The mistress's kids might treat you like a playmate one minute, then boss you around the next, depending on their mood. If you work in a monastery, the monks barely notice you, treating you like invisible labor. But when a guest praises your cooking, it's a small victory, a moment where you feel human. Shocking fact. Getting close to the master could make you a concubine, but it's a risky trade better conditions for a different kind of cage. You find comfort in routine, softly singing with other slaves while you work, holding tight to the only family you've got, the ones who truly understand your pain. Life as a slave girl is no walk in the park, and mistakes can cost you dearly. Spill a cup of tea? You might get a sharp slap or worse. Depending on your mistress's mood, you're always on edge, heart racing, wondering if today's the day you'll be sold to a harsher household, torn from the friends who keep you sane. The poet Yu Xuanji was executed for killing her slave, a grim reminder that your life is disposable, barely a footnote in the Tang Dynasty's bustling world. You're invisible to society, your dreams, your pain, your hopes, they don't exist to anyone who matters. You push through fevers and aches because taking a sick day isn't an option. Rest, and you risk a beating or a cruel tongue lashing from the mistress who's quick to call you useless or lazy. Shocking fact. In the eyes of the law, your life is worth less than a horse, a brutal truth that stings every time you think about it. Physical exhaustion is your shadow, trailing you through endless tasks with no rest days in sight. You're a prisoner in all but name, forbidden from stepping outside the household without permission. The constant fear of punishment keeps you alert, even when your body begs for a break. The worst part? You're blamed for things you didn't do: a broken dish, a missing scarf, and suddenly you're in the hot seat. Shocking fact. Slavery is hereditary, so if you ever have kids, they're born into this same trap. No hope of freedom. The threat of sexual exploitation hangs over you, especially if you're young and pretty, a danger you can't escape. If you're wronged, there's no one to turn Tono court. No justice, just silence. And yet, you're expected to smile and be grateful for this life, as if scraps of food and a leaky hut are some grand gift. It's a heavy load, but somehow, you keep carrying it. Even in the grind of slavery, you find slivers of light that keep your spirit alive. The sunrise painting the courtyard in soft pinks or a bird's cheerful song can stop you in your tracks. A tiny gift from the world. You share a giggle with other slaves over a weirdly shaped radish or a clumsy moment, like dropping a broom. Those laughs are gold, stitching you closer to the only family you've got. When no one's watching, you sneak an extra scoop of rice, a small rebellion that feels like stealing a piece of freedom. It's these little things that remind you you're still human. You're clever too, finding ways to carve out hope. If you're lucky, you might learn to read or write in secret, hiding your skills while dreaming of a life beyond these walls. You hum a tune while scrubbing pots, the melody lifting the weight of endless hours. There's a story in Taiping Guangji about Xiao Jin, a slave girl whose back pain vanished thanks to a Kunlun slave's magical touch, and it sparks hope that miracles might find you too. Shocking fact. Even in servitude, you resist in small ways, like dragging your feet on a task when the mistress isn't looking. It's your quiet way of saying you're still here, still fighting. Nature and friendship become your refuge. A rare break lets you feel a cool breeze, a moment of peace that soothes your tired soul. You weave a simple bracelet from scraps and give it to another slave, a gesture that tightens your bond like sisters. You share stories of your homelandits, songs. It smells keeping your roots alive in your heart. These moments, small as they are, build a shield against the hardship. You're tougher than the world thinks, finding joy and strength in the tiniest cracks of your tough life. As you grow older, your role might shift, and that's a glimmer of change in your grueling life. If you've proven yourself reliable, you could become a trusted servant, overseeing younger slaves or managing household tasks. It's not freedom, but it's a step up, with a bit more respect and maybe a slightly softer mat to sleep on. You're still bound, though, your days filled with orders and expectations. The mistress might even trust you with bigger jobs, but don't get too comfortable you're still property. It's a bittersweet promotion, hard-earned through years of toil. There's another path, but it's a risky one. If you catch the master's eye, you might become a concubine, trading back-breaking labor for better food and clothes. Sounds nice? Not so fast. It's a gilded cage, with your autonomy swapped for a different kind of servitude. You're at his whim, and the mistress might not take kindly to your new status. Shocking fact. Even if you climb this ladder, any children you have could still be born slaves, trapped in the same cycle you've endured. It's a gamble where the stakes are your heart and soul. Freedom is the dream you barely dare to whisper. Some slaves are manumitted for loyalty. Set free is a rare reward. But it's like winning a lottery you didn't enter. You might scrape together a few coins from small tasks, hiding them in your sack, dreaming of buying your freedom. But the price is steep, and those coins are more hope than reality. Even if you somehow break free, The system's cruel twist lingers. Your children might still be enslaved, their futures stolen before they begin. You keep pushing forward, clinging to the tiniest chance of a better tomorrow, because that's all you've got. Your life as a slave girl in the Tang Dynasty is a marathon of backbreaking work, yet you somehow keep running. Every day you face a world that sees you as property, but you carve out joy in the tiniest moments: a giggle with friends, a soft breeze, a secret song hummed under your breath. These sparks of resilience prove your spirit is tougher than the harshest mistress or the longest workday. Your story isn't just about survival, it's a loud reminder of the human heart's refusal to give up. So, what does freedom really mean when every choice is stolen from you, and how would you hold on in a life where you're not even your own?